Hello everybody and welcome to Volume 5 of the Classical CD Collection Series, where I present all of my classical music CDs, about 15 at a time, and I show them to you until I run out of CDs. So I don't know how many volumes this will actually take, but we're now in Volume 5 and we've got another 15 CDs here to look at. So let's get started. We're going to start out with this CD here by the great violinist, Sophie Mutter, who is a violinist that is still with us, obviously. A beautiful woman who plays just as beautifully and is really a great musician. This is on the Deutsche Grammophon label. And Sophie Mutter plays Mendelssohn, Brahms, violin concertos with the Berlin Philharmonic under Herbert Von Karajan, the great German conductor. So here you have a beautiful picture of Sophie Mutter on the front. It's a digital recording. And here you have a picture of, she looks a little bit different on the back there, but there's a picture of Von Karajan. And they're playing the Felix Mendelssohn Concerto for Violin and Orchestra in E minor, Opus 64, and Johannes Brahms Concerto for Violin and Orchestra in D major, Opus 77, both beautiful works on the great Deutsche Grammophon label. Moving right along, we've got another CD by Sophie Mutter, the very best of Sophie Mutter, playing Bach, the concerto for two violins, as well as some violin concertos, Mozart, Violin Concerto No. 4, and Vivaldi, the Four Seasons, which is a very popular piece of music, and she's going to be playing Autumn, a piece of Baroque music. So we've got Baroque, Classical, and Baroque, and it's on EMI Classics. It's on 2 CDs. It's a 2 CD set, and it looks like there's a picture of a violin in the back there. And Sophie Mutter. Next, we've got a CD. I've had this one for a while, the Telarc Digital, with Pachelbel's Canon on it. Which is a very famous piece of Baroque music, one of the most famous pieces of Baroque music. I've never really listened to anything else by Pachelbel that I can really think of. Somebody was once telling me that they could make an album called Pachelbel's Greatest Hit, and they just have that one on there. That was kind of funny, I thought. There's also the Tchaikovsky Serenade for Strings, which is a beautiful piece of music. As well as Vaughan Williams' Fantasia on Greensleeves and Borodin's Nocturne. Leonard Slatkin, St. Louis Symphony Orchestra on the Telarc label. Next we've got a CD played by Joseph Silverstein, who is on the violin and conducting with the Utah Symphony Orchestra, Mendelssohn's Violin Concerto, the famous violin concerto of Mendelssohn's, as well as overtures to A Midsummer Night's Dream, and other things as well. So, don't really know too much about Joseph Silverstein, but there you go. Next, you've got what looks like a young kid here. Looks like he's about 13 years old or something. Vadim Repin plays J.S. Bach, Brahms, Wieniawski violin sonatas. He is a very good violin player. He's probably a lot older now than when this CD came out. And here you go. It's on the Arts and Electronics, as well. It says MCA Classics there. So you've got Bach Sonata No. 2 in A minor, Brahms Sonata No. 3 for violin and piano, and Wieniawski's Fantasie Brillante on themes from Gounod's Faust. Okay, so Vadim Repin on violin. You've got the famous, we've already looked at some in the series. We've come across Joseph Szigeti before. Joseph Szigeti joue, which is French for plays, Bach, Handel, and notice that spelling of Handel is a little bit weird, but maybe that's how the French spell it. or maybe that's some older spelling of Handel, and Mozart. It's under Music Memora, or Memoria, historical sort of label, no doubt. And you've got the Handel Sonata in Re major. That's how the French say it. They don't say keys of A, B, C, D, E, F, G as they do here. They say Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do. So it's a little bit different. And Mozart Sonata in Mi, Do, Re, Mi, minor, number 28. And Bach's La minor, Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, BWV 1003. We've got Pablo Casals. We've already seen quite a bit of Pablo Casals in this series because, and there's a good reason for it, because he's such a great cello player. So, and here we've got plays works for cello and orchestra. What do we have on here? Boccherini's Cello Concerto in B flat, Bruch's Kol Nidre, which is sort of a Jewish melody for cello and orchestra, Dvorak's Cello Concerto in B flat, Opus 104, very famous cello concerto by the great Dvorak, and that is on Pearl. And Pearl, as I said, specializes in historical and archival recordings. We've got next Van Cliburn in Moscow. Van Cliburn was a pianist. There's a very famous competition in his name called the Van Cliburn Competition, but he was a pianist as well. I think he was American, so he might have been visiting Moscow. He wasn't Russian, but he plays Brahms and Rachmaninoff with the Moscow Philharmonic Orchestra, conducted by Kirill Konorashin on the RCA Victor Red Seal label. Rachmaninoff's Rhapsody on a Theme of Paganini, Opus 43, Johannes Brahms Concerto No. 2 in B-flat, Opus 83, Van Cliburn on the piano, recorded in 1972. There you have it. Next we've got one of the great cello players of our time. I know we've looked at a lot of Pablo Casals. Well, here's one from our time, Yo-Yo Ma, Chinese or Chinese-American cello player. And this album is called Simply Baroque. And it's got all Baroque music played by Yo-Yo Ma on it, with Ton Koopman and the Amsterdam Baroque Orchestra. Nice looking CD. It's got Bach, which I would have expected it to have, as well as Boccherini, with famous stuff such as Air on a G string, Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring, and many other well-known Bach pieces, as well as the Boccherini. And this is on the Sony Classical label. Next, here's kind of a historical recorded in hi-fi stereo in 1944, Beethoven's Great Emperor Concerto, otherwise known as the Piano Concerto No. 5. Boy, this must have been recorded right in the middle of World War II. Who knows about that? But anyway, so it's Beethoven's Piano Concerto No. 5 in E-flat, Opus 73, the Emperor Concerto. Beautiful, beautiful piece of music. If you don't know it, you should, because it'll basically make your hair stand on end. It's that good. We've got Artur Rubinstein with some really crazy looking video art type of cover here. Guess they were getting creative back then. Frédéric Chopin Concerto for pianoforte. So it's one of his, I think he wrote 2 piano concertos. This is number 1, Opus 11. And Robert Schumann's Concerto for pianoforte, or Piano Concerto, Opus 54, played by the great Artur Rubinstein. Next we have, actually there's 2 CDs I want to show you, because the second I already showed you in Volume 1, or maybe Volume 2, I don't really remember which volume, but it's the Feuermann, the great Feuermann, the cello player, the English Columbia's Volume 2, but I also happen to have a Volume 1 here, so I just thought I'd put them together for the sake of completeness, kind of like I did on the Heifetz piano and violin sonatas, where I had all 3 volumes and I wanted to show them all together. So here's Volume 1 and Volume 2, Volume 1 and Volume 2 of the Feuermann's English Columbias, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Volume 1 has Haydn, Schubert, Beethoven, Chopin, Scambati, never heard of him, and Gluck. And here's, different things, Beethoven variations on the theme from Mozart's The Magic Flute. That's interesting. Honestly, I did not know that Beethoven wrote variations on a theme from Mozart's The Magic Flute. Next, we happen to have just something called Bach Harpsichord Recital with Robert Aldwinkle on the harpsichord, with such favorites, such keyboard favorites by Bach as the Chromatic Fantasy and Fugue, the French Suite, Toccata and Fugue, Italian Concerto, and Capriccio, all well-known Bach keyboard works, and have an interesting painting on the cover. Doesn't anyway, so there you have it, some of Bach's very, very famous keyboard works. And finally, for this installment, we've got Mozart Don Giovanni highlights. So of Mozart's great opera Don Giovanni, here's just highlights from it with the following. I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce the first person's name, and I'll just let you read the names of the vocalists. New Philharmonia Orchestra, conducted by Otto Klemperer, the well-known Otto Klemperer EMI label, and highlights from Mozart's Don Giovanni. Well, that just about does it for Volume 5 of the series of the classical CD music CDs in my collection. Hope you enjoyed it. There's still a lot more to come, so make sure you subscribe. I know that I've been saying that a bit, but I really could use the subscribers. And also, this way you'll be notified when the next video in the series comes out. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day. Bye now.